Hello, hello, good morning, afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, wherever you're tuning in, or if you're watching the replay. Hello, everyone on Fireside. Thanks for joining. Um, so today, I guess I'm trying to get a little bit better at a format, but also working on the fly. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ashley Smith, and I am the owner of Social Jargon, a social media marketing company, and I help people do social media. So thank you for tuning in. Um, this particular episode, I wanted to talk about the power of collaboration and sharing a little bit of my own personal struggles in that. Um, this is also a very interesting topic, and another one of the reasons why YouTube happens to be one of my favorite social media platforms. Um, I think I've shared this with some people in the past, or maybe even on one of these episodes. It's just YouTube allowed creators a space to create, and video creators specifically, essentially the option to create their own network channels, their own cable television shows, stations, even. Good Mythical Morning is a great example of how they've just grown in that aspect of it. They had a channel, they've purchased other channels. They're launching new channels. Good Mythical Kitchen or Mythical Kitchen is one of my favorites, by the way. But it the opportunity and the flexibility and the that YouTube has created, making uh, some things like that, careers, more accessible, is mind-boggling and crazy and wonderful, in my opinion. But today I wanted to talk about a group that is on YouTube. Um, and they are a popular, if not the most popular, Minecraft uh, crew out there or collaboration out there, and how that relates to your business, your industry, and how I experienced it myself. So for those of you, I think everybody here knows about Minecraft, or has at least heard of it. So essentially, it is a video game that has been wildly successful, especially among younger people. That's how I found out about it. Was my kiddo came home from daycare one day and was like, "I want to play Minecraft," and then she kept coming at me saying, "Mom, play with me, play with me, play with me." And I just thought it was the stupidest game ever. um, but then it ended up actually, like, the first, like, there's, you build things, there's, zombies and little monsters that you fight, and there's a big boss, like all of that. But there's also a more sandbox element to it, meaning that you can go in and just kind of do whatever you want. It isn't, there are objectives and achievements that you could do, but then you can also choose to ignore them and still play the game. It's inspired a ton of mods. It's inspired a ton of YouTube content. It's launched video gamers' careers on and YouTubers' careers. So I mean, the impact that this one single game has had is just wild. So I wanted to explain or talk about Hermitcraft, because Hermitcraft, so what you can do with Minecraft, one of the options you have is having a server. It's called a server, or a server world, where anyone that you give access to, um, you can play Minecraft together, and you don't have to be in the same room or same state or even in the same country, in order to play together. And this was something that helped, um, with my kiddo, and when she wasn't home with me, when she was with her dad. And it's also something that helped my marriage. Well, before we were married, um we would have gaming date nights, which sounds like ridiculous for two adults to have a date night with Minecraft. But there's there's also modded Minecraft, where it, like, amps up, like, all the different features, capabilities, and challenges in the game. There's a lot of things that you can do. There's even, what they call redstone. Not, I don't know why I'm air quoting. It's called redstone. The air quotes come in where it's kind of like an electrical current in that sense, and so, but it doesn't work the same. has his own game mechanics and or physics and all of that stuff. There's a lot to do in the game, and this was a way that John and I stayed or had something to do together while we were 600 miles apart. So Hermitcraft is called the server. So they have, I believe it's 23 or 25 active members. So people who are accessing this server to play this game together, where they share a world and build and create things. And that I say all of that to explain that these are 25 individual YouTubers. They all have their own channel, they're all doing their own thing, they're all creating their own content. But then in so they're creating videos and gameplay inside Hermitcraft. So there's great um, cross interaction with each other. So one person's viewers are seeing another person's viewers. It's a great way to exactly that. It's a collaboration, but it's continuous. Not to say that, and then a lot of the YouTubers also have other content out there for their own worlds or own challenges or vlogs and things like that. But that's exactly what it does, is now you have 25 creators that are dedicated to the same mission, coming together to create content and then allowing their audiences to cross-pollinate. And all of them together, I mean, 25 videos, they time it, okay? There's a strategy behind it, and probably not in the beginning, but they time it so that their videos and their episodes are released around the same time on the same day. So, in terms of YouTube tech speak or algorithm tech speak, the algorithm is good. Oh, okay. And then all of these videos are coming out. They all have the word Hermitcraft. I mean, they're in season 9. They started this um, in it. So they have their own fandom wiki. They're that big, right? Um, According to this, they started on April 12th, 2012. So they've been doing this for over 10 years now, which I mean that's one of those things about success too. Like you can have overnight success, but a lot of times that overnight success took about 10 years. 7 to 10 years, that kind of thing. But they come together, they're all pushing out this video at the same time. They're able to rank. And um, they have some big names in the Minecraft gaming community that are part of this project. Again, it's kind of nice because I understand that some people are like, oh, so they're just on Minecraft and they're building. Like, who would watch that? But there's also really great story elements. And and what's happened is that these people all across the world, from the UK to the US to Canada, um, they're coming together and showing their friendship, and they're just people hanging out and having a good time. And there's some things that are scripted, which I think from a creator aspect of it, taking a little bit further of a deep dive into that and what they're doing, there's a storytelling element to it. And there are filming skills that are being done and editing that's being done and planning that's happening. So I have mad respect for a group of 25 people that are independent creators that are able to make all of this happen. um some of the ones that I'm watching, two of my favorites, because it's great because you see them interact with each other, is this YouTuber called Grian, and then I would say, I guess his best friend would be Mumbo Jumbo is his gamer tag and his YouTube channel. But I mean, Grian has close to 8 million subscribers on YouTube, and Mumbo has 8.5. So they're coming in, and then they have more relaxed players that aren't necessarily consistent all the time, but they're there. But I wouldn't have known about well, my husband started watching Hermitcraft back when he started figuring out Minecraft and things like that. Because he asked me, he's like, my kids are asking me about this. Do I get it? And I was like, yeah, but you be careful when you play, because it's actually stupid addictive. But it's fun and it's wholesome in that aspect, right? So he actually found Hermitcraft before I did, and then I started watching their videos, and Mumbo's and Green's videos stood out to me because they were funny. They were funny, they were entertaining, and there was just two guys just hanging out, wholesome fun, um, pulling pranks on each other. And then, so Mumbo was part of the Hermitcraft community before. He and Green did some collaborations, and then Green got an invite to the server. This is how that went down. And because Green on his own independently was creating builder videos, how to build things in Minecraft, how to make things pretty, all of these different things that people were watching. And he had skill, and he was consistent, and he was invested in his channel. And that's one of the things that you find with the newer invitations for Hermitcraft. Those are the kind of creators that they have, which is really smart because then they benefit from their own content and their own channels, and then they're also able to leverage the activity of the other hermits. Another person that ends up being in the trio is Good Times with Scar. He's another YouTube creator, or another hermit and YouTube creator. Um, and so you get to know these players as much as you can through this, right? And you get to see them interact and having fun and playing pranks, and even to where they're collaborating and making other series together. So, with all of that said and all that geeking out that I just did over this, essentially it's kind of like a television series that never stops, right? Whew, sorry, I had to get that yawn out. Um, and we've all been addicted to that. I mean, Friends had 10 seasons, and everybody argues, those long-standing shows. Grey's Anatomy is in 19th season. Um, it's another version of a television show, and that's again what YouTube has created. But how does this? How can you use the same strategy, right? Well, and how there's a lot of planning and communication, first of all. And I made some errors in my, and I'm going to reflect back to Clubhouse, and I made some mistakes. I started and I was willing to like work with, I think that's kind of how it begins when you're not being completely intentional with it. So I went on Clubhouse and I found other digital marketers, other social media experts, other business owners, and was like, let's do a collaboration. Let's do this. I'm just getting started. You have some following. I can add value to your rooms, which benefits you. I can gain some new followers that benefits me. That's essentially the energy exchange that was happening. However, I didn't do the vetting process like Hermitcraft is doing right now. One, it's a group decision, so the entire group has to agree and decide whether or not they're going to let someone in. That's my understanding anyway. I'm obviously not part of Hermitcraft, so I could be wrong. They also limit who they allow because um, from what the videos that I've read from Exuma, he's kind of the head honcho guy. It's not about a follower count. It's about quality of content and consistency, and again, that dedication. Because the last thing that you want is to start working with somebody that doesn't have the same drive or the energy or commitment that you do on a project. Or on the flip side, and something that I've done for the last several years is I don't commit unless I have the capacity or want to create the capacity to give the time and energy necessary to make a project successful because I know that other people are counting on me. And so I made that mistake and I started doing clubhouse rooms with someone that didn't have the same approach, I guess is the way that I'll say it, to conducting a clubhouse room. Um, they were very hard with the sale, wanting to sell people something, wanting to do lead generation, and things like that. And I wanted to have more of an environment like what is happening here on Fireside, and why I have these episodes coming out, and why I love it when people can join live with me is I wanted that interaction, and I found more value in that. And I found that I was gaining more meaningful relationships by creating that kind of content instead of always pushing a sale or a business deal or a contract. Yeah, I'll sell you if you want to be sold to, but you have to be what you like. Do you want to be sold to right now? That's kind of my question that I have. And so, um, I that relationship, that collaboration ended. And I think part of that is, or that vetting process is getting to know who you're wanting to collaborate. Like, obviously, there's people in your local community, or even nationally, or even internationally, of people that you want to work with. And it's kind of looking at why do you want to work with them? What's again, the equal energy exchange? I look at that too, because especially if I'm wanting to work with someone and they're more um, predominant in the space that I am, what can I do to help them? Like, how, I and sometimes they're like, no, it's not a big deal. And but I like to come up with the offer because I've been in the position of being taken advantage of. And so that's one of the things where I'm trying to be mindful of that energy exchange. But then knowing who you're going to be working with, understanding the work styles that you have together, or the expectations. And I will fully disclose, I'm more organizer and detail oriented than some other creators. So I also understand, okay, this person can do a little bit more chaos, and knowing that about myself and recognizing those traits in that other person could also make the process much smoother and less stressful for me, if that makes sense. So it's one of those where find the people within your industry, because here's the thing. I come from a small community, and with a lot of marketing people and a lot of marketing agencies. And so, especially in the early days of my business, a, there was very much a hunger and a competition that seemed to be happening. And it was probably one that I made up in my own head. Um, and, because everybody's fighting over the same deal or the same client. And the thing is that I'm still um, growing my team, but at the same time, there's only so much work that I want to take on. I had read a reference in a book a few months ago where I was like, do you want a $1 million business where you personally take away $100,000? Or do you want a $300,000 business where you personally take away $100,000? The $1 million business is going to come with the clout that you're making, that you're operating at seven figures, but there's more work and there's more stress and there's more everything involved with that than a $300,000 business. And you're taking away the same amount of profit, or you're paying yourself the same amount. So, which would you rather do? That kind of thing. Because again, work-life balance, super, super, super important, I believe. Because it all comes back to asking yourself, are you happy? Do you like doing what you're doing? And finding that path. But collab, the addition, of not only just monetarily or on social media, or in the online world for a course or a YouTube channel or an Instagram takeover or anything along those lines. Outside of the transactional side of it, you could also learn things. And if you are on your own and you are running your own business and you're by yourself, they say entrepreneurship is lonely, and it can be, because if your friends are entrepreneurs, they don't get it, and they're probably more available and accessible than you are, especially if you're on your own. Compared to if you have friends who are also entrepreneurs, they totally get it, but they're busy too, right? So it's one of those where if having entrepreneur friends and fellow business owner friends and connections helps with that loneliness. But then if you can get into the industry part of it, they really understand. And they have the same amount of interest or empathy or sympathy or frustration or excitement that you do. It's kind of like, in the beginning of this, I was talking about Hermitcraft, and that gaming community and what they're doing. And a lot of people are like, what? I don't understand. It's like, okay, I kind of get where she's getting at, but I don't know why she's so excited about this particular group, right? Whereas if somebody is listening to this and is a Minecraft gamer, or they have kids that play Minecraft, or they've heard of Hermitcraft, or they're interested enough to go check Hermitcraft out, or Grian or Mumbo, or anything like that, and see their content and see what they're doing, and they can appreciate it at the same level that I can, we're on the same wavelength, and it's just helpful to share that excitement. It's to talk about those things. And so examples in the digital marketing world and tech and social media right now, and we're having lots of conversations and discussions over what AI can do. Specifically, of course, as we've talked about in previous episodes here, Chat GPT. What is that going to do for our industry? Now, someone who isn't tech minded or isn't in this industry or this business is probably going to be like, cool, and like conversation's going to end, right? Because they don't understand, they don't get it. Meanwhile, someone that is in your industry and on your wavelength with that, you vibe and you could talk about that, and that's where those great sessions happen. And that's one of those things where I have it's nice to be able to reach out. David, who joined us last week here on Fireside, in the audience. I'm still getting him. I still want him to be a guest on one of these episodes. He and I are watching AI and ChatGPT and Google and Bing and everything that's happening and what's going on, and also sharing the limitations. He's also in digital marketing, but it's someone else that I could share that with. And he's also in Florida. I'm in Minnesota. So we can cross pollinate audiences, or we could talk about connections. I know more about him. I built that trust and that relationship. He knows more about me. And we're able to then take that communication and the connection to the, hey, you need XYZ. I trust this person. You should go talk to her. You should go talk to him. That kind of thing. So it takes work and it takes some time because it is a relationship. You'll see a lot of solely transactional collaborations, and you can kind of tell when it's going on. For example, like I think most people have seen like the Instagram contest posts where you're supposed to go, or I even got one where it had like 13 different brands involved. It was an email that they sent me, and I had to go. It was a contest to win, like this $3,500 package because all of these brands were contributing to this prize. But how did you get entries? You had to go follow everyone on Instagram. You had to go follow them on Twitter. You had to find them on TikTok. You had to like a post. You had to do all of that. And transactional campaigns like that can well, they do work. I should say they do work for quantity, but they don't work for quality. Because I could tell you, I I personally, because I haven't results before, because I want the thing, right? Don't fault anyone on that. But I will unsubscribe when because I don't understand, like, I don't have a relationship, I don't know what to do, or I don't know what you don't provide something that I need yet. I will unfollow you on Instagram if I'm seeing you, like, and I don't remember who you are or what your product is or what your company is. And so those kind of transactional collaborations like that, I would say look for the deeper meaning, look for something else that you can provide. Something that has been exceptionally popular over the last few years is doing, joint webinars. Being able to build up an email list, being able to share a webinar session, whether it be free or $10 or $50 or a mastermind that's 5,000. Coming together and being like, hey, I'm speaking at this event, and then talking to people about that, and here's what I'm doing there. So the collaboration strategy absolutely works. You're gonna have more quality results and more meaningful results, of course, if you are taking it to that next level. Vet who you're going to be working with, understand what you're going to bring to the table, what the energy exchange is, what you're bringing to the table and what they're bringing to the table. And that can be equal, that can be more or less, that can be nothing and everything. You just have to be okay with that energy exchange. That's where feelings get hurt, right? And relationships break down. Um, and you learn something and you figure out different ways that people are doing certain things. It's the collaboration over competition is going to help you a lot, and it's going to um, it just changes. And it changed me in my perspective of, okay, how can we work together? How can I help you? Um, Instead of this, well, we're both fighting over this one thing and I have to be the winner. It's not fun. It's exhausting. It's a nasty feeling, frankly. And you can do so much more when you can have so much more impact when you're working with other people towards a common goal. So that's energy exchange, common goal. It's probably another point that I missed. But that was my geek out session today. I encourage you to find people that you would love to work with. Um, And I appreciate everyone here listening on Fireside. Hey, Stephanie. And those of you who are watching the replay, these videos or any past episodes are saved on my profile. And also, the ones that work with the casting feature are also on my YouTube channel. You can find all of my social media links in my bio. There's a landing page there. I'd love to hear feedback, or if there's a particular topic or question that you have, feel free to reach out on Twitter or Instagram at Ashley Smith IRL. Thanks so much, guys, and we'll see you next week.